Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Square Enix Play Art Sky Batman Arkham Knight figure. Now, you guys probably know that Batman and Robin were both pretty much failures as far as figures go. Batman in particular, Robin not so far behind, and then Harley Quinn was probably about average. She was pretty good in some cases and then not so great in others. This guy, I haven't fully made my assessment yet, so we're going to decide as we do the review. So let's take a look at his height. He stands at roughly 27 centimeters to the top of his ears, which makes him about 10.5 inches, so pretty much standard size for these figures. And at first glance he looks pretty good. I will say though that the proportioning looks a little bit off. He seems kind of lanky, a little bit thin and lanky compared to the in-game model, but I suppose posing might make up for it. He does come with a decent batch of accessories, including the standard Play Art Sky display stand. So let's take a look at those. First of all, we have an alternate head. We have this one, which has the translucent blue plastic on it with the silver inside, and then the painted eyes, which actually look pretty good. The earpieces and everything also look pretty good. We also have this one, which is not translucent. It is completely opaque with just paint applications, and everything's the same otherwise. It's just that the visor is painted rather than being translucent, and I guess it's just meant to look like it's not lit up, obviously. So he has two fist hands in the package. Those come on him. We have some other hands to show. We have the loose hands, so these could be used for the secondary hand for gripping a rifle or just a style pose hand. We have two more that are relaxed hands, which could also be used for those things. And then lastly, we have the dual gripping gun hands with the trigger finger. So that's a good thing. So if he has trigger finger hands, you know he's probably going to have his guns. So he has his two pistols, and he has the gun that combines toward the end of the game to make his sniper rifle, which makes perfect sense that you combine two pistols to make a sniper rifle. Anyway, this thing looks pretty cool despite the fact that the design of the gun from the game is really ridiculous. You can remove this second pistol grip, literally, and replace it with a collapsed one so that he can use it as a actual sniper rifle, which I guess is pretty cool. That's it for the accessories. Let's talk about paint and sculpt. I do feel like his chest is awfully narrow. It looks okay from some angles, but I feel like it needs to be thicker this way and this way. It is definitely armor plating on top of his body, and if it is that, then he is incredibly skinny underneath. The shoulder pads look okay. They're kind of big like they should be, but the chest is a bit small. The back is definitely a bit small. The forearms look pretty good. There's lots of detail here, lots of hollowness, hollow pieces, and it looks nice. All of the detail work in here is pretty good, and from what I can remember, it's fairly accurate. And I took a glance at some videos online since I no longer have the game, and aside from those size issues, he seems to be pretty accurate. We have some various things around his waist. We have some pouches, some grenades, or a grenade, another one here, more pouches, and then some more larger grenades. So mostly the sculpt work is pretty good. Paint work is okay, except the red parts are kind of pink. They don't look quite right. It's not bad, but it's not great. And then the blue parts do have the metallic blue with some black shading on them, so that's all right. And then the forearms, the paintwork is definitely a different color, like gunmetal, to contrast the rest of the figure. So he looks okay. I mean, it's not bad. He's definitely better than Batman and Robin thus far. So let's take a look at the articulation. The head is on a double ball peg, which actually works pretty well. We get nice range of motion. Whoa, we get really good range of motion because it comes right off. But it does lean back pretty far before it popped off. Of course, it's going to come off a little bit easier since they are interchangeable. Can lean forward, lean side to side, and then full rotation. The neck is on a... it feels like it might actually be on one of those hinges, but it looks like it's a double ball peg. I can't quite say for sure, but the neck itself does move, so that'll be useful. That's okay with me. His entire chest is soft plastic. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it does allow him to bring his arm around to hold his weapons a little bit better if you want to. But here's the problem. They went back to the old butterfly joint style, but somehow they managed to make it absolutely ridiculously bad. I don't know what happened here. So it's kind of like a combination of the new joint. We have the butterfly joint, which is this ball hinge. It goes at an angle rather than connecting into the torso like they used to. It goes into it at an angle, which gives us our butterfly joint right off the bat just from rotating. We do get the ratcheting, but we have a classic butterfly joint on top of another ball hinge, which is very strange. It's not a ratcheting hinge, it's a little bit different, but it rotates, which is really odd, and I haven't figured out a use for it yet, and it has the hinge. But here's the weird thing about that hinge. It's completely hollow, so there's really no practical way to pose this thing without it looking ridiculous. I don't know what is going on with these Batman figures and the design teams. The ones for this game have some really weird choices. You can get it about that far before it starts to look weird, and even then it looks a bit, well, I guess it's not too bad, but having that ball hinge in there really separates the shoulder from the body unless you're going to mush it in there. So I don't know, it's just very, very strange. Anyway, the ball hinge does give him good range of motion at least, and this is soft enough plastic that it can go all the way up. We do get the bicep swivel from that peg, so if you want to rotate the shoulder around you can do that, and you get a bicep swivel that's just a standard swivel right there, so that's pretty good. The elbow joint is the standard ball hinge that ratchets. However, it tucks in the back of the elbow here, the tricep tucks into the forearm. So if you want to rotate either of these things on that ball hinge, they both have to rotate equally or it won't be able to work. We have that ratcheting ball hinge for the wrist also, so it'll swivel on both ends and ratchet, so that's fine. Torso articulation, almost non-existent on this guy. I'm not sure if mine's just stuck and I don't want to pull on it and risk breaking it, but it doesn't seem to want to move. I can't really twist it at all. I can lean him back a little bit. I can lean him forward that much. That's it. So I don't know. I can't lean side to side. I don't know what's going on with his torso. I don't know if that's a common issue, if mine's just stuck or what. I'm going to go play with it with the hairdryer and see if I can loosen it up. But as it is, that's no bueno. For the torso, we have the standard ball peg, so this can move all the way around. But as you can see, his floating crotch piece is too low to hide it almost at all, unless you lean him all the way forward. But even then, you just get a giant gap. Pretty much any time you move it, you're going to get a gap. So I don't know how they designed that. It didn't work out very well. As far as the hips go, they do ratchet all the way forward, so that works out pretty well. We can bring them back a little bit. And of course, once we move the legs around, we can bring the floating piece up a little bit and get it to hide some, but you still get some gaps. And then as far as going side to side, this side gets hindered by this stuff. This side can go pretty far. So that's okay. I mean, you'll be able to get him in some poses, as you can see, like right there doing a kick. It doesn't look half bad, but do be aware of that gapping and those issues with the articulation. We do have the standard ratcheting for the side to side and front to back, and you can rotate the thigh around like you always could, but he also has what I think is the first figure to feature the new swivel built into the thigh, which works okay on this guy. It's fairly well hidden even over here. It's just a full thigh swivel, and over here is completely hidden due to that strap. So they did a pretty good job with this. It looks like they're going to be doing this on a lot more figures. I'm hoping they do a good job with it, because that kind of articulation can get pretty ugly. As far as the knees go, we have the classic style knees, so the double jointed knee. It's not the best looking one at all because we do have the flare out from the pants, but the knee pad does hide it a little bit at the bottom, and since he does have the sculpted kneecap, it's not too bad, and any moderate posing should, it'll look okay. It's not great, but it's not too bad. For the ankles, we have our standard ratcheting ball hinge, so it'll swivel at both ends. You can move it around to get the ankle rocker if you want to. So that's good. No cut joint in the boot, so that's good. No toe articulation, so that's bad. So this guy, he's another one that he's definitely better than Batman and Robin, but he's got his fair share of weird decisions and problems also. So if you're looking for two figures from this line, from the Arkham Knight game to pick up, it's got to be Arkham Knight and Harley. They're definitely the better two of the bunch, which is really a shame because Batman and Robin should have been. And this guy, they all should have been. So I don't know, it's just very strange. I do recommend this guy, I guess, him and Harley. They're just still, some things are just so odd about them, but you can definitely make them look pretty good on the shelf, so I would recommend them. There you go, guys. Make sure you stick around for the photos at the end. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.